This is the first time I've shared some of this stuff out loud in front of so many faces. So I'm going to tell the truth, I'm scared, but I know this is a safe space for it. And I also just want to send some love to my daughter, Chanel, because this is not only my story, this is her story. And she's given me the permission to share this with other people because I know people need it. Even though it was so deep that some of this stuff I hid for years. Funny enough, I moved to Glendale from Las Vegas in 2009, December 2009, and when I moved here, I was on a mission to be Nichole, because before that I was Nikki. And Nikki, people didn't want to know Nikki. Nikki was the one that has been to jail. She sold drugs, she transported drugs. She had boyfriends, she always chose men and loved men and didn't want them to leave even though they beat her up, even though she was in a hospital, even though all these things happened. So when I moved here, I wanted to forget all of that. So how many of you guys have had something happen to you where you thought, you know what, I just want to forget that never happened? Whether it was like you got cheated on, right? You made a mistake and you're like, oh my God, how the heck did I even do that? I'm just gonna pretend that never happened, right? And I had years of my life like that. So I thought, I'm just gonna move to LA, I'm gonna start a healthy lifestyle. My daughter's so young, she don't need to know about all this. And I'm gonna start again. So that's what I tried to do. I tried to do that. And then I got really sick. And I had so much anxiety. I literally had so much anxiety that I was down to like 100 pounds, and I was at every hospital around this area getting MRIs, CAT scans, and I'm like, I know something's wrong with me. They're like, it's stress. I'm like, I'm not stressed. I have no stress. My mom and dad are always stressed. They're not like this. So that being said, I'll tell you where it all started. The time where I tried to shut my life out, where I tried to kill Nikki off. 10 years ago, just over 10 years ago, I was at my home in Las Vegas with my ex, my daughter's father. He was so abusive that I was just recovering from having 10 staples in my head right here. So when I say violent, it was very violent, and I wanted to escape, and I was plotting my escape, but he wouldn't let me leave with my daughter. And my daughter was only 2, and I was also addicted to cocaine at the time, and I could not stop drinking over the cocaine. You think you're doing cocaine to wake up, but I'm like, I want to drink to come back down, so it was like my homeostasis. And there came a time where we were in the kitchen, and I had this feeling that if I don't leave now, he's going to kill me. I already saw what happened last time. So I'm in the kitchen, and he yells at me, make me something to eat. And I want to say, fuck you, make your own food. But I already know better than to say that. So I don't say anything, and I just get to working, and I look back, and I see Chanel, who's only 2 at the time, and she's just playing with her toys. And he's sitting on the couch. And as I turn around, it hit me. I could leave. I could leave right now. But I thought about my Xanax that I also took when it was time to go to sleep. And I thought, I can drug him. And if I drug him, he might go to sleep. So my heart's racing because I'm like, oh my God, if he catches me, I'm dead for sure. So I grabbed the bottle. I had a tea mug because he wanted tea, right? He was particular. And he wanted pizza. So I take the Xanax out, I crush it, I eat a little bit for myself, and then I put it under the cheese of his pizza. And we're laughing about this, but this is me drugging someone that might kill me, right? But it is kind of crazy, right? It's like, this is my life. This is real life. So I have it under the cheese of the pizza. I put it in the tea, and then I go hand it to him. And then it hit me, like, as I gave him the plate, and I saw this man, because the truth was I loved him. As twisted as that is, like, someone could beat your ass, cheat on you, and all these things, and like, I still was afraid to be without him. So I saw him with the plate, and I just had this like heaviness of guilt, like, wow, am I being just like him? Am I being a monster like this? Am I like abusive and all these things too? And as I saw him eat it, I had this sadness, like this may be the last time I see him. But I let him eat it, and 20, 30 minutes later, he was sleeping. So I was like, Devin. He was knocked out. And I just, Devin? He's still knocked out. So I went and I grabbed money. We were selling a bunch of drugs at the time. We had money in the cabinet all the time. I grabbed thousands of dollars. I grabbed Chanel and whatever clothes I could get, and I ran out, and we went to the airport. So I made it, and I left. 6 weeks later, I got a call from Las Vegas Homicide. There was actually a woman murdered at my home, at our home. So he ended up shooting a woman that he was dating. I don't really know all the details, but he shot her and killed her in a house 6 weeks later. So when I went back to my house, my friend Andrea, wherever she went, she was at the house with me. We went back to the house, and I'm literally standing in my closet of the home that I built, and there's this cutout where they cut out her body, but still there was blood, and there was just, she was there. And I still to this day don't know who that woman is, but I saw that that woman was a sacrifice for me, right? Like I was like, this woman's life is not going to be lost in vain. Like I have to fix my life. And not only that, like my daughter needs me to fix it. And if I'm really honest, because it's fucking truth-telling event, I always think like, I don't know if I would have went back if he didn't do that. I don't know. And you know what? I'll never know. But I didn't, and here I am, right? So thank you. But so now, the stigma of like single moms know, there's a freaking stigma around being a single mom, right? It's like, yeah, right? There's like some stuff there. And then on top of that, it's like, okay, well, my daughter's father is in jail for murder. And I had addiction, and I had all these things, and not only that, I was on welfare, and I was poor, and my family's like that too. Like, we're just all messed up. Like, who's ever gonna want anything to do with me? You know? Like, there were just layers and layers and layers. So the only thing that I thought that I could do was to start again and forget that stuff. So that's what I tried to do. So fast forward, I tried to forget. I came here, my name was Nichole. I started going by my legal name. What happened to you? Where's your daughter's father? I don't know. He left. He left, and I don't know where he went. Oh, you don't know? You don't get child support? Why are you so nosy? I don't know. Like, you know. And I worked at nightclubs. When Chanel and I moved here, I had just enough money to pay for rent. I lived right over on 123 South Everett Street. I worked at a nightclub at the W in Hollywood, and I worked so late every night, and you know what, we were right across the street at Porto's interviewing babysitters because I knew I had to not live near my family, and I had to start afresh. So people would be like, so then I had the shame of like, am I a bad mom for having these people babysit my kids? But I had to trust my intuition that I would choose the right people that would love my daughter, and that this would work out because I'm being called to do it. So a few years later, I'm so skinny, so sick, I wind up at the hospital down on the other side of town with mono. And if anyone's ever had mono, you cannot freaking move with it, right? Like, so it just was like such a wake-up call. And I had an anxiety attack on the freeway in Pasadena, and I pulled over and I blacked out, and someone had to call the hospital. And my friend Erica comes, and she has Chanel, and she's like, you have to do something about this. So she told me to go to Agape, if anybody knows who goes to Agape here. Okay, so I was like, this sounds like some BS. This looks like really Hollywood when I looked at the video. And I'm not a church person, but I was desperate. So I found meditation. And something that they were talking about there, Michael Beckwith always talks about, was like, your past, there's a part of you that's never breakable. There's a part of you that cannot be touched, cannot be tarnished, cannot be broken. And I was like, I like that. I like that. I can't really totally embody that yet, but I really like that. And I kept going. I got out of nightclubs. I worked at New York Life right up the street and sold life insurance. I was on my like sales and hustle, and still ignoring the whole life that I just wasn't ready to face. And finally, when all of the anxiety, all of these things, I was like, I don't want to be on medication anymore. I don't want to do these things anymore. I end up at a meditation retreat, silent meditation retreat. And I remember I had this vision, and I'm at the meditation retreat like, how do I win that award at that company so I can get the free trip to Miami and get all the recognition and all these things? And I had this voice that I don't know if it was a voice, but it was just, if you want to call it God, intuition, a part of me said, help women and everything will be taken care of. And I was like, help women? how am I going to help women? I'm the worst. I'm like the epitome of what women should be, not be, you know? And I didn't want to hear it, but it was there, and I felt it so strongly that I actually stood up and talked to Michael Beckwith after, and I said, I want you to pray for me. Because I just heard something, I just saw something, and I don't know. And he laughed at me and said, well, you can't unsee it. So, and I'm just like, you know what? I'm just not even talking to you right now. And I left that retreat, and I went back to Pennsylvania where I had moved for, that's a whole other story. So I went back to Pennsylvania, and I watched my life just fall apart, my old life as a life insurance salesperson. And I kept getting this call for the entire year. You're supposed to be helping women. How can you help women? And then I saw that I was to make this trailer and finally come out about my past. And actually, that trailer's on YouTube, guys. My friend Gustavo shot it. And also, I had to drink wine to film that thing. And I actually had to make some of my friends that are in this audience go hide in the other room because I didn't want them to hear it. I didn't want them to hear it, and they were my friends. So I was that ashamed by it. But you know what? I put that video out on October 1st, 2015, which is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. So many people wrote me that their brother, their sister, somebody in their family that was killed at the hands of their boyfriend or was in an abusive relationship and they didn't know how to get out. So there was just so much good that came from it. And what I learned in that moment was like, wow, everything that I hated about myself and that I wish would just disappear actually connected me to other people, right? And it was like, wow, like it was just like one little taste of it. But then as I went on, in the years that it's only been like 2.5 years, in the time to come, I kept sharing more and more. I was like, well, actually, here's a little bit more details. You know what now I attract women who have a family member that was like this, either addiction or abuse. There's always some little thing where they're like, I trust you because of that. I can relate to you because of that. Because of that, I feel like my ugly stuff is not too much for you. So that's why I invite everyone that's here to think about that one thing that you wish would just disappear. And what if you learned to love it? What if you were like, you know what? I'm just going to accept all of me. Even before I got out of here, I was really scared. I was like, I am scared to go out there. And but I was like, you know what? I kept telling myself, and I'll invite you guys to use this for yourself. Whatever I say is good enough. Everything about me is good enough. That takes practice to feel that, and you know what? I don't feel it all throughout the day, every day, right? But it's like, and you know what? We should admit that. Because if we don't admit that, we have people walking around thinking they're the only ones, thinking that they're not good enough, thinking that they can't do it, thinking that they're scared. So what if we just all came out and we're like, you know what? I'm scared. I'm doubting myself. Okay, but you know what? Now let me brush it off. Now I'm good, right? So going back to all of this, what's the moral of this whole story? Life will feed you the medicine you need to drink. You know, I learned this now because I look at other people who may be going through, I mean, come on, guys. Who judges other people? You hear, oh, my God, they're addicted to drugs. Oh, my God, she's with that kind of guy. Oh, my God, look what she's eating and look how she's treating herself. Let them be where they are on their path. That's the one thing I've learned. Because if I didn't go on my path and struggle and suffer and hate myself and actually cry, like, will I ever be able to have a night where I don't use cocaine and drink alcohol? Like, I literally asked myself that. If I didn't live that, I wouldn't be the teacher I am today. I wouldn't know how to embody other people's strength and call them out and say, look, you got to dig deeper. You got this. But if we never feel our shit, how are you going to be able to accept other people's? You won't. So I invite all of you, start loving your shit, right? Or loving your stuff, whatever. But, so I know each and every one of you guys has a Nikki, right? Like the part of you that you didn't want, and it could be who you were in college. It could be who you were in your last relationship. It could be who you are today, but guess what? Just like that, you can choose, I'm going to do something new. I get to do something new now. I get to claim, we are who we say we are. And we get to remember that. You get to change just like that. That's why I don't like to play roles. That's why I want to come out here in barefoot. Even though I have a speaker reel being filmed right now, I was like, you know what? I only want to speak at places that are okay if I walk out here braless without shoes. Because you know what? I get to claim that. So anyway, guys, I gotta run. My time is up, but this has been such a pleasure, and I'm just so grateful, especially all my friends, clients, and all of my new friends, right? Thank you, guys.